Hello and welcome to New Fast Food. Szechuan Sauce is finally making its return to McDonald's. I've got all the details, plus my analysis and breakdown, along with Taco Bell passing Burger King, Carl's Jr. and Hardee's breaking up, and much, much more. Let's get started. First up, McDonald's is bringing back Szechuan Sauce. Let me give you a little bit of background on exactly what this means, in case you've been in the dark about this whole situation. So back when Walt Disney released their animated movie Mulan, they did a cross promotion with McDonald's where they introduced a limited time McNugget sauce, which was the Szechuan sauce. After the promotion, the sauce was virtually unheard of for many years until last year when it was mentioned in an episode of Rick and Morty. In the episode, Rick and Morty go back in time so that Rick can get his hands on that Szechuan sauce one more time. After the episode aired, fans went crazy saying that they wanted to try the Szechuan sauce again, and McDonald's heard them, brought the sauce back, and everything was fine, right? No. So McDonald's heard them, they brought the sauce back, but only for a limited time at very limited locations and in extremely limited quantities. So to give you an idea of what was going on, I live in a fairly big city here, and I think there was one, maybe two locations that had the sauce, and each location only got between 20 to 40 packets of it. So there was reports of people going to other states to wait in line for this, being in line since 4 in the morning, people leaving Comic-Con conventions so they could go stand in line to wait for the Szechuan sauce, all to no avail. They ended up not getting any, and they were mad. So McDonald's decided that they were going to set things right. They announced basically a day later, they said, we're going to make things right. We're going to bring the Szechuan sauce back on a more permanent basis. They didn't say when, but apparently now we've hit that date. And they made an announcement on their Twitter yesterday that they are bringing back the Szechuan sauce this coming Monday. So that's February 26th. The Szechuan sauce will be available at all McDonald's nationwide, and they've produced 20 million packets this time. So they're saying that is going to meet the demand. Although they said before, what they announced on Twitter back in October was that they were going to bring it back on a more permanent basis. Now, 20 million packets doesn't seem like a permanent basis to me, and I'll tell you why. It's available at all locations, right? So McDonald's has over 14,000 locations. So if you do the math, 20 million sauce packets, 14,000 locations breaks down to only 1,400 per store. So are you telling me that 1,400 is supposed to last at McDonald's with the demand for this stuff being so high on a more permanent basis? That does not sound like it to me. So 1,400 packets per location. I'm going to say that's going to last probably at most locations, that'll last at the longest about a week. I could see some locations still going through their whole supply in a day. With only 1,400 sauces, and now they could split it up, right? They could send locations with higher traffic, a higher number of these packets, and locations out, in small rural areas, a lower amount. We don't know how they're divvying it up. If they're doing something like that, maybe these sauces last closer to a month. Okay. The point is, though, this is still, as far as we can tell, still a limited quantity. If you want to try the Szechuan sauce again, or maybe for the first time, make sure you get to McDonald's. If not the first day, I would definitely recommend within the first week, or else you may be missing out on this whole sauce thing again, and you may have to go on eBay and bid on one for 14,000 like they were going for last October. So that's all the details that we have right now. My take on it is really, I think this whole craze says more about people being fans of Rick and Morty than it really does about people being fans of the Szechuan sauce. Like I said at the beginning of this, after the Szechuan sauce went away, there really wasn't any any demand that I'm aware of for it. There were no movements online to bring back the Szechuan sauce. There really was virtually forgotten about until the Rick and Morty episode hit, and then all of a sudden everybody wants it. They want to see what's making Rick so in love with this stuff, which is fine. I don't want you to get the idea that this sauce is something that people have been clamoring for decades, and McDonald's is finally giving in. No, whoever wrote that episode of Rick and Morty is obviously a huge fan of the sauce, but I don't think until seeing that episode there were very many other fans of the sauce. I could be wrong. If you were hungry for the Szechuan sauce before the Rick and Morty episode came out, let me know. Let me know what you like about it, and make sure to get out there and get it while it's available. Our next bit of news is Taco Bell passing Burger King to become the 4th biggest fast food chain in the nation. Kinda. We'll see. There was some information released yesterday, but actually what I find more interesting is the information that wasn't released. So I'll get to that in a minute. But so what was released? Take a look here. This was first released by Bloomberg. It's showing 5 fast food restaurants that they are saying are the top 5. Okay, you got McDonald's, Starbucks, and then you see Taco Bell and Burger King. So what's new here, what everyone's talking about, is Taco Bell passing Burger King to be what they're calling the number 4 fast food restaurant in the nation, which is fine. If you look at this, that looks to be spot on. Now, where these numbers are coming from is a preliminary report from a company called Technomic. And I say preliminary because if you notice, there is a glaring omission from these numbers, and that's that Wendy's is nowhere to be found. So you may remember that about 5 years ago, Wendy's passed Burger King to become the 4th biggest fast food restaurant in the nation. So I heard, when I started seeing these headlines, I had deja vu. I said, whoa, Taco Bell passing Burger King to become the 4th? I think I've heard this story before. Wendy's passed them about 5 years ago, and they, as of last year, they were still number 4. And Wendy's, all the reports that we have seen up until now, is that their sales have grown about 2% over the year before. So there's no reason to think that they've dropped down to below Burger King. They just are left off of this report for some reason. And Technomic is very clear that this is the preliminary report. But I find it very interesting that so many news outlets picked up on this story, and everyone's saying that Taco Bell is the number 4 fast food chain now, and nobody has mentioned that, hey, we don't see Wendy's on here, or we still have to hear from Wendy's before we can say who's number 4 fast food chain. No, and I'm surprised. There's some bigger publications that they may not cover fast food very often, but there's also some of the fast food industry trades that I look at, and they didn't mention this at all either. I mean, you can say it's fine to make the headline and say that Taco Bell passed Burger King, but without Wendy's there's no way to tell who is actually number 4. So obviously Wendy's must have noticed this. Check their Twitter. Their Twitter has been silent on it so far. But obviously their corporate office noticed this, because they were scheduled to put out their 2017 financial numbers next week, and they ended up moving it up, and they released some preliminary numbers of their own early this week, and so we can see that they have not dropped below Burger King. They are still ahead of Burger King, and if you look at the numbers, they're actually I'm going to say they're virtually tied with Taco Bell for that number 4 spot, because the Bloomberg numbers don't take the decimal out to as far as Wendy's does in their financial report. So there's no way of telling right now whether Wendy's is above Taco Bell or Taco Bell is above Wendy's. So I'm going to say they're virtually tied right now. And I think the real story here is not that who's higher, Taco Bell or Wendy's. It's that why did everybody forget about Wendy's? So why would this happen? Okay, so why would Technomic put this preliminary report out? Having known that when we were expecting Wendy's financial numbers to come in next week, why would they even put this report out so early? Why wouldn't they just wait until next week until Wendy's releases their numbers, then they can put out the full report? Well, my guess is that Technomic, they're a research company and they don't work for free. They've got clients, and I'm suspecting that one of these other restaurants is a client of theirs and basically paid them to put these numbers out before the Wendy's releases theirs, throw that preliminary stamp on it, and get the headlines going. And it worked, right? Looking at the list, basically it's probably either McDonald's, Taco Bell, I could even say Burger King. Any of those three would have reason to put this report out early and leave Wendy's out of it, right? So, okay, Wendy's has been the #2 burger chain for about 5 years now. McDonald's is their biggest, they're #1. So McDonald's could say, hey, let's put this report out a little bit early before Wendy's releases their numbers, and maybe people will kind of forget about Wendy's. They'll say, oh, it's Burger King, Taco Bell. Maybe people will forget about our second biggest competitor. So that could be. Of course, Taco Bell could be the culprit, because they could say, hey, we passed Burger King, and it would be a much bigger headline if we could say we passed Burger King and became #4 than if we say we passed Burger King and now we're tied with Wendy's, or we're still behind Wendy's. So it could be Taco Bell. I could even say that it could be Burger King, right? Because this graph shows the top 5 restaurants. You've got McDonald's, the top 4 plus Burger King there at #5. If they waited to release it until Wendy's numbers came out, that would bump Burger King out of the top 5, and they'd now be in the top 6. So, and who cares about the top 6? I think any of those 3 could have paid off Technomic to put these numbers out early, and I'd say whoever it was, it worked. Now, the other bit of news from this Technomic report is allegedly Domino's has passed Pizza Hut in the pizza chain race. So that's not a huge surprise. They were pretty close last year, and Domino's has been on an upswing. Pizza Hut has been sagging, so it's not surprising to see Domino's make this jump. They had their menu revamp a few years back. It was wildly successful. Their sales have gone up since then. Pizza Hut did their menu revamp, and it was not as successful. It just didn't catch on. And I say allegedly because I don't think many people have actually seen this report. Technomic charges $3,500 to have access to this report. So I would be surprised if more than 100 people in the nation have actually seen the actual report, outside of Technomic, of course. Moving along now, sorry we dove so deep into those first 2 stories, but this one's juicy as well. Lamb Weston is claiming that they have solved the problem of soggy French fries being delivered through all these new food delivery services that are really taking off. If you don't know who Lamb Weston is, they are the second largest French fry maker in the nation, and a lot of restaurants get their French fries from Lamb Weston. To name a few, McDonald's gets their French fries from Lamb Weston, along with Arby's, Chick-fil-A, and Dunkin' Donuts gets their hash brown nuggets from them as well. So that's just to name a few of their biggest clients. But they say that they've solved the problem of soggy French fries being delivered. So their solution is the French fries with this light batter and a patented venting container, as you see here. So the container prevents condensation from building inside. So what their claim is that normally French fries will get soggy and cold after about 5 minutes. However, these new fries and containers will keep the French fries warm and crispy for a full 30 minutes. So that's a huge difference, right? So this solution is available now. Anybody who owns a restaurant can start purchasing these special fries in these special containers and start using them in their own restaurant. but I'm looking a little bit bigger. I am speculating that McDonald's is going to start using this solution in their restaurants in the near future. In fact, I'd be surprised if they're not using this this new solution by the end of the year. Why? Well, let's connect some dots, okay? At the end of last month, there was a report that McDonald's said that they had solved the soggy fry delivery problem. And they were in the article, they didn't really detail how they solved it. They said, well, you know, we don't put the fries in the bag until they're just about to leave. Okay. That just really doesn't really solve it. In fact, there were articles that said, we tried it. We don't think that the McDonald's has really solved it. Well, I think that article was saying that they had solved it, but that they weren't. What they didn't say is that they're not ready to release the details of how they've solved it. And so now, less than a month later, the company that produces their French fries says that they've solved the problem of soggy French fries. And this is how they do it. So connect the dots here, people. The McDonald's says they've solved the problem, and they don't tell us how. And then the company that makes their fries says they've solved the problem, and here's how. It's pretty clear to me that McDonald's is going to start using this crispy fry solution in their restaurants. I mean, if you look at the picture here, those French fries look pretty dang close to McDonald's fries, and those boxes look pretty close to McDonald's boxes, just blue. So don't be surprised if we start hearing about this coming from McDonald's very soon. I mean, very soon. In our next bit of news, ChiliCheese.org has completed their list of Taco Bell restaurants that serve the Chili Cheese Burrito. So if you're not familiar with this, Taco Bell serves the Chili Cheese Burrito, but not at all locations. In fact, not even at half the locations. Since 2004, this organization, ChiliCheese.org, has had a grassroots effort to try to figure out which Taco Bells have the Chili Cheese Burrito. There's one key component to the Chili Cheese Burrito that you have to make it, and most restaurants don't have it, and it's the chili. So restaurants that carry the chili from Taco Bell can make this Chili Cheese Burrito, and if they don't, they can't. And I've never had the Chili Cheese Burrito. I didn't even know about it until very recently when I started to hear about this movement. So anyways, they've been compiling this list since 2004, and Taco Bell just reached out to them and said, hey, here's the list. You've been working at this for nearly 15 years. We've had the information the whole time. Here you go. So they handed over the list of which locations buy the chili, and so now the list is available. You can go to chilicheese.org right now and pick it up. You know, my take on it is, like I said, I hadn't heard about it until recently, but I would love to try this Chili Cheese Burrito. People seem to love it. As opposed to the Szechuan Sauce, like I said, didn't have a huge following, didn't seem like a huge demand until the Rick and Morty episode. Clearly, this has been going on since 2004, this movement for the Chili Cheese Burrito. Clearly there is a demand for it. So I looked at the map. There is not a location, near me. The closest location to me is about 2.5 hours away. So next time I'm in that area, I will be sure to pick up one of these Chili Cheese Burritos and try it for myself. Next up, Subway is changing around their loyalty program. If you download their cell phone app, you can start earning points with your Subway purchases and get rewards for them. So under the old loyalty program, for every $50 that you spent, you got a free 6-inch sandwich. And for every $75 you spent, you got a free foot-long sandwich. So they're changing that around. They're making it so that for every $1 you spend, you get 4 Subway tokens. And then you can cash in 200 Subway tokens for $2 off of anything. So they're saying that they're responding to their customers saying that they wanted more flexibility with how to use their rewards, and they also wanted special surprise bonuses. So that's the other thing that they've mentioned with this new program, is you're going to be able to get surprise bonuses, like here's a free cookie every now and then. So I hear what they say about wanting to make their program more flexible and be able to use your points on whatever you want. But come on, I mean, people who are going to Subway, you're buying a sandwich. Who goes to Subway on a regular basis and doesn't buy a sandwich, whether it be 6-inch or 12-inch? So I think it's ridiculous to say that this is an advantage, that you now can use your points on anything in our restaurant, when really, what else are they going to use it on? And the offer is not nearly as good, right? So for $50, you get a 6-inch. You would have got a 6-inch sandwich. So that's valued at least $3.50 if you're getting the sub of the day, but likely more, probably at least $4. So now you spend $50 and you only get $2 to spend on whatever. That's about half of what you were getting with the old loyalty program. So it's putting a positive spin on it by saying it's more flexible, but if you do the math, it's really a much worse loyalty program, which is not surprising. A lot of times restaurants will redo their loyalty programs, and it's almost always worse for the consumer. They're almost never saying, oh yeah, this loyalty program is doing great, we want to actually give you more free food. And in our last bit of news, Carl's Jr. and Hardee's are breaking up. Kind of. So Carl's Jr. of course bought Hardee's back in the 90s, and that's not changing. Carl's and Hardee's are still going to be under the CKE company. But what is changing is that for the last 5 or so years, Carl's Jr. and Hardee's have had the same marketing campaigns and the same commercials. And they just said same commercial, but at the end of the commercial, it would just say either Carl's Jr. or Hardee's, and they would air them in their respective cities that they belong to. So they have got rid of their ad agency, and they brought in a new company, and this company is saying that they were going to differentiate between Carl's Jr. and Hardee's. Carl's Jr. Is getting these new, what they're calling crave culture ads, at least in the beginning. I'd be surprised, looking at these commercials, I'd be surprised if they stuck around long term. But these new crave culture commercials, they've got voiceovers by Matthew McConaughey, and they just basically have a bunch of food shots, and Matthew McConaughey says some whimsical lines, and that's the commercial. So they just announced this switch over for their ad agency about a week earlier this week, actually. So and then they put these commercials out basically a day later. So what likely happened was that they made the decision to go with this ad agency. Didn't announce it publicly, but told the agency, and wanted to have something to put out for when they made the announcement. So here it is. To get these commercials. I'd be surprised if this was a long-term campaign. But what we do know is they're splitting it back up. They're splitting up Carl's Jr. and Hardee's, at least in the advertising, and they're going to have different brand images going forward. This is something that's probably a good idea. So when Carl's Jr. bought Hardee's, the original plan was to convert all of the Hardee's to Carl's Jr.'s, and they tested it in a few locations, and they found out that it was not a good idea. Hardee's was originally opened up in smaller towns, rural areas, and Carl's Jr. was from the West Coast and was mainly in bigger cities, and so the advertising and everything reflected that, and it just didn't mesh well. The people in the small towns were reluctant to switch over to this new brand. It didn't go well, so that's why they made the decision to keep the names separate, and keep the Hardee's name, because it already had built up some brand recognition in those areas. So they kept the Hardee's brand, and then more recently, they didn't combine the commercials at first, but recently they had started combining the advertising efforts, and now they're going to separate them out again. So I would I think what's going to happen is you're going to have the Carl's Jr. ads appeal to more of the urban, big city type people, and you're going to have the Hardee's ads appeal to more of the rural, small town type folks. Either way, I'm excited to see those Carl's Sr. ads go away. I didn't like those ads at all. The first one was okay, and then none of them after that did anything for me. So that's our news for today. I'm going to leave you with this other report that was posted. There's so much news today. I didn't get a chance to talk about everything. This report was put out, and it shows the restaurants with the quickest drive-through lanes. So check that out. And let me know what you think about any of our stories here today. What do you think about the Szechuan sauce coming back? Like I said, are you a big fan of it, or are you just curious about it after hearing about it on Rick and Morty? What do you think about Taco Bell passing up Burger King? And what do you think about them leaving Wendy's out of the conversation? What's up with that? What do you think about these new French fries that stay crispy for up to 30 minutes? Do you believe that claim? And do you agree with me that it's undeniable that McDonald's is going to start offering these in the near future? What do you think about Carl's Jr. and Hardee's splitting up? Do you think it's a good idea? Let me know down below in the comments. I do want to give a shout out to Epic Boys with a Z. If you haven't checked out their review of the Grand Big Mac, you need to do so. It's full of awesome. It's full of win. Check it out. I'll put a link to it down below so you can go straight to it. Thank you very much for watching. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, go ahead, give it a thumbs down. We release new editions of new fast food every Tuesday and Friday. If you don't want to get left out, hit that subscribe button. Pick up a subscription. I won't charge you for it this time. Just don't tell anybody. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time.